Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I'm going to have another little play with the ScrawlrBox, the July ScrawlrBox today. I've got a couple of ideas for it. So quick recap of what we had in the box. The most exciting bit, I guess, was these Magic Colour liquid acrylic inks. We had a set of 4 graphics fine liners, and these are at least partly water reactive, I think. So I think I'm going to have to go over the top of the paints with these. I must remember that as I go along. So we got a 0.2, a 0.4, a 0.8 and a brush. That's nice. We also got this nice little brush. The substrate we got this time is acrylic paper, which has this kind of line through it that you can see. There we go. I just sort of had a really quick play with it there when I opened the box, but I want to do lots more experimenting with different techniques and things today. The challenge is In Bloom, saying this month's box is in bloom, taking a botanical influence from our featured artist. We encourage you to experiment with the opacity of the inks and how they layer one over another. See how they form entwining elements in your work and play with mark making to create undefined shapes and organic forms. I've been really enjoying doodling recently. I did those spiral doodles with a lot of kind of leaves and seed pod shapes and things like that, which I really enjoyed. Then the other day I did this with this was with the gouache paints in the Artful box that we got in July, and I fancy doing something like this again because it was a really good way to have a real good play with the paints, try all sorts of different techniques, and then make them into something that was pretty to look at the end. And there was no kind of thought about it really, it was just playing, which is a good way to get to know new supplies. So I'm going to do something like that, and I've also got another idea I want to try. I might do that first. Oh, typical, that's my doorbell. Okay, so I just went and answered the door, and it was the postman with a parcel with a little delivery from Just Jolly Creations Etsy shop. So I've done a separate little short video. You'll be able to find out what was in the parcel. I'm not going to need the pens until later. How many sheets did I have to play with in here? 8. I've only got 8. It's not that many actually. I've used 1 already. I think I'm just going to see if I can do what I've got in mind with just the 1 sheet. So when I've done this before, I've done it inside a book, like an art journal type of book. This time I'm just going to try and do it on 1 piece of paper, so I'm going to fold it in half. I've got 2 jars of water, 1 for cleaning my brush and 1 for wetting. I've got a water spray as well. I've also got some salt to try later on. So yeah, 2 or 3 different extra bits I've got for techniques I want to try. So the salt is 1. In the little zine they suggested bleach. Now I have got some like bathroom cleaning bleach next to me if I need to use it, but I thought I'll try this first. This is I've had this for donkey's years, Cosmic Shimmer Ink Resist Lightening Spray. I was a bit when I bought this, I was furious when I got it home. Immediately you could smell it and it smelled like bleach, and I thought I've just paid all that money for basically diluted bleach. I think that's all it is. It's diluted bleach, but hey, at least it is a bit diluted and it probably won't knock my head off the same as, so I'm going to try that first. It's just more convenient anyway. I also want to try masking with so I've got 2 different kinds of masking tape here. Well, this isn't really masking tape, this is like low tack tape. I think it'll do the job. And then I've also got some of this post-it tape, so it's like a sticky note, but the whole thing is sticky, so you can cut out shapes of it. So I want to try that in a bit as well. So that'll be when I got on to making the little kind of book similar to this. This thing I want to try first, I don't know what you call it, but it is fun. It's really fun to do with kids. You can do it just as well with like watered down acrylic paint, poster paints or whatever, and string, you know. I'm just doing a slightly more refined version. But not really refined. I've also got a palette to put my, because I don't want to use these neat. I will try them neat, but I want to water them down as well. I've got Manky old tea towel ready because I know I'm going to make a lot of mess with this. This red and green to try to start with, and normally I would kind of avoid mixing them because you'll get more muddy colours and not such nice, clean, vibrant colours. But actually, this particular red and green, as is sometimes the case with certain reds and bluish greens, kind of made a nice purple when they mixed together. So I want to see what I can do with that. So I'm going to first of all just like water them down a little bit, and then for this technique what I'm going to do is cut a couple of pieces of this thread. This is a thread that I've deliberately picked one that's not too absorbent because I don't want it to kind of hold on to the ink too much. And what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get filthy fingers doing this. Oh, I could put gloves on. So I'm dipping not the whole length of this string because I need a clean bit to hang on to, but I'm dipping quite a bit of it just into this ink like that. There we go, and it's pretty much soaked up all of that ink and water that was in there. And now I'm going to just lay this string down on the paper. Just so no squirrely whirly design like that. Okay, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then I'm going to fold my little card shut. I'm going to give it a good press. And I'm not going to lift it up. What I'm going to do is hold it down firmly, but not too hard, because what I want to do now is take hold of that string and pull it out. So I need to hold it fairly firmly, but I need to like just allow the string to come out. And I'm just going to pull it in one smooth movement. And try not to flick it out at the end and flick the paint all over my clothes. Voice of experience. There we go. Put that down there a minute. And then I'm going to open the card and hope to find something beautiful. Ah. It is, isn't it? You can see how that's a brilliant thing to do with kids. So I'm just going to do, not too much, I might do 3 of these on the page. And look, that seems to have come back a bit again. Maybe I should do the yellow as well, actually. And then I'll allow them to dry and then doodle around them later. Although I love this paper in some ways, I don't think it's going to be the best for doodling on with the fine liners after. But we'll see, we'll see. Right, let's water that down a bit as well. Yeah, I think if I was doing this with kids, I'd use big chunky string, watered down poster paint, and I'd take them outside in old clothes that don't matter. Just let them have fun with it. I'm going to deliberately let this overlap the other one a little bit. And of course you get 2 for the price of 1 as well. Okay, grab hold of the string and pull. It's good noise. Oh, ooh, very pretty where they've overlapped. Shall I go for the yellow next? Can't stop now, I'm just going to fill the page. And I will go in with my fine liners once this is all dry and do some, have a bit of a doodle fest. So I'm going to put that to one side. Didn't even think about this one until just this moment, but I'm just thinking this could be fun. It's using up every last little bit as well, so it's really wet. I've got to press it down on here and see what happens. It'll either be a complete mess or it'll be a fun background for me to doodle into, because I'm really loving doing that at the moment. I find it very relaxing indeed. a bit disappointing. Although it's getting there, isn't it? If there was more of it, it probably wouldn't be. I could very much turn this into a new graphic doodle kind of style thing now. In fact, that's probably what I will do. I'm going to see. Right. About as random as you can get, isn't it? I think I will really enjoy doodling into that and trying out the fine liners. And possibly what I might do is fill in some of the areas with the acrylic ink on a brush as well. Right, so while I'm waiting for my first Scrawlr challenge project to dry, for the first stage to dry, I'm going to go on to this next one. So for this one I'm going to take 2 sheets out of the paper pad, and I'm going to fold each of them in half. Okay, I want it to be able to fold both ways for this, so yeah, that's give me a nice fold that goes both ways without any cracking. So these are going to go one inside the other, and become the pages of a little book. I'm just going to take a metal ruler, because when you put one inside the other, because of the thickness of the paper, you just get a little edge. There we go. You just get a little edge sticking out. Can you see there? And that will annoy me. So I'm just going to stack them up like that, and then just need to take a little bit off that inside one, so they all line up nicely. There. No nasty sticky out bit now. There's only a tiny sliver of it that I've got to take off, but it just, yeah. So now I've got my little mini book pages ready. I'm going to separate them out, and we'll do one at a time. So I think it'll just be more manageable that way. I'm going to get I'm going to get this brush as well. I just think I'm going to want a bigger brush for adding the extra colour with. So I want to try all of these different techniques. Let's try the white as well. So white will make nice sort of, I'm hoping, nice sort of pastel versions of these colours, and it will make them more opaque as well, I'm assuming. So I'm not going to be using the fine liners at all at this stage. I'm just making some lovely colourful backgrounds and having a real good play with these paints. So I think I'm just going to probably just speed through this. So I'll just tell you now what all the different things that I'm planning to use, and then you'll know what I'm doing as I go along. So I'm going to try them neat on the paper. I'm going to try them diluted on the paper. I'm going to spritz them with water. I'm going to try them. I'm going to try blending them together. I'm going to flick them. I'm going to try dropping salt into them while they're still wet. I'm going to try this lightning spray, which I think is just diluted bleach, and I will try a bit of masking as well, perhaps cut some random shapes. I don't think it will mask the paper altogether. I think it will let it seep underneath a bit, but I think that'd be quite nice for doodling around. So I just want to get lots of interesting colours and shapes and things that I can doodle into afterwards, and hopefully find kind of organic shapes and things which would then fit the theme. I'm not too bothered about fitting this out. As far as I'm concerned, the challenge is just to get me going, really. Give me a sort of starting point. If I go off piece from here, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So you can see that I've finished painting my little backgrounds. This one's gone a bit murky, but I think it'll be alright once I've doodled on it and stuff anyway. So the next stage is a little bit daunting. You have to start tearing holes in it. Let's start with the one that I don't like very much. So I'll take some holes out of the middle and some out of the edge. And the bits I tear out won't be wasted because they get stuck back on. So looking at this one, I think maybe it will actually help this one to have a bit torn out there. So I'm gonna do that. Right, so I've I need a pair of scissors. I finished placing the little torn out bits. So this is based on an idea I saw Ulrika Hirsch doing. She calls it a snippet sketchbook. I called it a pickadoodle book. My version. So I've stuck the snippets back onto the pages in different places to create little compositions that I like the look of. And now I'm going to put my little book together. Probably won't put it together permanently yet. I'm just giving it another fold because it's got all stiff with the paint. I won't put it permanently together yet because I've still got more painting to do, and the inking as well. It'll probably be easier to do it not threaded together, but I just have a play with how I want to put it together now. Got my book set up how I want it. Next thing is to just make a couple of holes so I can thread it together. I'm not measuring anything, I'm just thinking it's roughly the same distance there and there. And then I've just retrieved this out of the bin, the threads I used for doing this little piece earlier on. I might as well use them to thread through the book. I want to add a bit more colour with the inks. So I think I want to make them more opaque and a bit lighter. So I'm going to add a white to each of these colours now. Well, it's the next day, and as you can see from the little window here, I've been busy. I was up very late last night. Couldn't stop doing this. Let's have a closer look. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm not so pleased with it as I was with that first one I did. I think it's often the way, isn't it? But still, it was really fun to do. Really relaxing. Full disclosure, although I started off, as you saw, because I think I filmed some of that, using the acrylic inks with some of the white mixed into each one, or just the white on its own to add these details. I did end up, because I was going off, I'd been going for hours and hours, I did end up using paint pens. So I've got these Posca paint pens here, and these shades were pretty near as damn it matched to the colours I was mixing up with the acrylic inks. So in the end it was just quicker and easier to do that, and I could do it downstairs. Yeah, so I just sort of doodled into the shapes and things that were already there. One of the things I quite like about these books is that you can just keep on going round and round. There doesn't really need to be any start or finish to it. And the way that the colours of one page will show through onto another, and it's not unpredictable completely, but you know, you'd have to think quite hard to think it through. What have I done here? I've just cut that off because it's annoying me. It just needs to hold it together anyway. You know, you can look at it upside down as well. It doesn't really matter. So I did try to sort of keep in mind sort of organic shapes and elements that might be plants and things because of the in bloom prompt. But I think I've probably gone quite far away from the prompt. But as I said yesterday, it doesn't really matter to me. The prompt is just to get you going. So now I've got this is going to be quite a long video, I think. So I'm not going to show too much. I'm just going to sort of tell you what my intention is here, and then come back and show you, I think. So I've still got this one that I did with the string pulling technique. I'm going to cut this in half, so I can have two goes at it as well. One thing I'm finding is that the texture of this paper, kind of, you can very much see it there. Yeah, which kind of adds to it. It adds a bit of interest to it, but it's not that great with these when you come to using the fine liners. And I also found that it was really hard to get a really nice dense black on the surface, especially over the acrylic paint, and I had to go over the top of the acrylic paint because otherwise the pen would move a bit with the moisture. So you can see how dense the black is here. That's where I've torn away. So that's where I used the brush fine liner onto the kind of core of the paper, so that's nice and densely black. But that was 2 or 3 coats over it, and it's still a little bit of a grey black, which is a bit disappointing. But okay, I mean, they worked beautifully. You can see there, that's come out quite nicely black there, actually. It's lovely to have all the different sizes of nib to do all these different. So I've used like a really fine, the 0.2 to scribble around those circles there, for instance, and then the big fat one, the 0.8, to do these thicker lines, and the brush pen. I did enjoy it. This is definitely a really good way of playing with new supplies, definitely. So I'm going to sort of doodle into these just with the pens, I think. I don't think I'm going to put any more paint on this, but I might change my mind about that. I think this video is going to get really, really long anyway, so I've decided I'm not going to sort of film any more of that process. I'll come back and show you how it looks. And with these, I'm going to do it like neurographic doodling, except instead of starting the initial kind of scribbling with my hand, I've just done it with that string, like I showed you, with the leftover from doing this technique. So I've already got my scribbly lines, and I don't think I ever could have made anything that random by just scribbling. So I'm really pleased with that. I kind of almost just want to doodle straight into it with the pen now, but I want to add some colour first. Normally with neurographic art, you would do the scribbling stage, and then you would soften all the angles, add curves to all the angles. Then you do another scribble to kind of make it more intentional, and then add curves to all the angles again, and then you would start adding colour and stuff like that. But in this case, I'm going to have to add the colour first, because as I say, if the pen on first and then the colour over the top, I think the pen is going to move because the colour is wet. I'm not convinced this, as you can see the kind of thing that's happening here with this paper, the way it's kind of bleeding into those lines, which is quite an interesting effect, but it can get a bit annoying as well. And I wonder if, although this is acrylic paper and these are acrylic inks, perhaps it's more intended for acrylic paint. I'll be interested to try these inks as well on like a watercolour paper or something like that, or just a smooth mixed media paper as well, just to see how they behave. Anyway, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to put these pens away now, so we need them now. And the first thing I'm going to do is just fill in sections of this with colour. And then I'm going to go in and start with the fine liners to pick up all of these lovely lines. So apparently once this is dry, it's waterproof. So I should be able to now put colour over the top. Right, so I've just put kind of washes of colour on there. I'm going to let that dry now and start doodling into the other one. I've had a bit of an experiment. I'm not happy with this, but I wanted to just come back and show you so you can see kind of where I'm going. I like the look of all of this here. I tried adding colour to this and went wrong and tried to write it, and it's all gone bleh. So luckily I've got this second piece, and what I'm going to do this time is just use a pen to just pull out the ones that the forms in there that I want to have in my picture, and then I'm gonna black the rest of them out. This dark isn't the black of the pen, it's a really dark purple mixed with the green and the red. It's brilliant how when you get these bluey greens and a certain kind of red, pinky red, you can sometimes get this lovely purple. Anyway, I've mixed the purple really, really dark, and I've just used that to start blacking out. So I think I know where I'm going with this now. Right, so both of those ended up in the bin, torn into tiny pieces, in the bin. Lost my temper, went wrong, in the bin. I don't often get like that, but so I'm just going to have a go at this neurographic doodle painting kind of thing, because I'm hoping that will chill me out now. So all I'm going to do is just round it off, because the idea is that wherever you've got two lines intersecting like that, you don't want an angle, you round off the corner. So I'm going to see if I can do that with paint. I'm going to intensify the colours in places, and then I probably will go back over with the fine liners as well. Definitely finding that even on the bare paper, you can't get a really dense black with these. So I found it on the experiment that's now in the bin. So I'm just going to do a bit of this now, and hopefully chill out a bit. I've got it all over my hands from where I tore it up while it was still wet. Never mind. Okay, so it is day 3 of playing with the, with the July ScrawlrBox. 3 pieces have been torn into shreds and gone in the bin in a fit of temper. I've got this piece, which actually, if you look up close, I love some of the effects and things that you can get with these inks. And that's a really fun way to get the random squiggles. I'll definitely try that again with the string and the ink. Especially because this was just done with the leftover. I've ended up using the fine liner pens to go over it. But I took the colours from the colours of the squiggles and just sort of, you know, intensified them. So actually I quite enjoyed that, and I think it's quite pretty. I don't know what I'll do with it, but it's quite pretty. Maybe I could make it into the background for a birthday card. Anyway, so that's that. And then I made the little book, which I also quite like. And it was indeed a great way to really experiment and try out all the different things you can do with these paints. And I tried to bring in the sort of organic shapes. I was sort of thinking of things like a fungus and seed pods and things like that. Okay, so now I'm going to do what I'm thinking of as my kind of real challenge piece. So what was the wording? Was it in bloom? Yes, in bloom. I don't think I can call these kind of finished pieces. They're just experiments, really. But I've got real feel for the inks and for these pens and how they work together. So now I'm ready to do an actual piece. As always, I'm never very keen on working on such a small piece of paper. So I know that's going to be a little bit of a struggle. What I've decided to do is to be inspired by the mass of beautiful colourful pansies that are in one of the big tubs in my garden at the moment. They're brilliant little flowers, those. They just go on all year round. Let me show you what... So I've just looked up lots of images. This one, it's probably a copyright one. But you know, if you go on, you can see how much variety there is. And these are real little soldiers in the garden, these flowers. They really are. They just go on, you know, you'll see them all through the winter. Look at this little pot. I love that. I've got 2 sheets of paper left, that's all. So again, you know, this is going to be a really long, really long video. So I'm just going to show you a little snippet of it, and I'll show you how it looks in the end. So I've got to do my sketch first. I'm going to stop recording while I get my sketch done, I think. Right, so you can see I've got a really rough sketch. I haven't bothered putting the little markings in or anything, because I just don't think I'm going to be that precise with this. It may all go horribly wrong, I don't know. Let me quickly show you. This is from Adobe's, from the Adobe, the seed people, the seed and plants people. So this is a photo just in their kind of catalogue. So I've just kind of used that to give me a kind of rough placement. All of those colours there I should be able to get with the 4 colours of ink that I've got. Some I'll probably just use them translucent, and with some of them I'll probably put the white in to make them a little bit more opaque. that first sort of layer has finished drying. I'm ready to go in with my pens now. Interestingly enough, this just popped through the post. Every year they send me this, Thompson & Morgan send me this catalogue about this time of year. So up in the corner on the left of your screen there, you'll see the photo that I've been working from. My son's showing me how to put this up on the screen now so I can show you what I'm working from, so that'd be really good. Learning something every day. And but yeah, interesting that they sent me this, and there's a lot of I love these kind of primrose type family plants, and these pansies, which are like little soldiers in the garden. They really are. Get these ones that are like little smiley faces, and then you get the ones more like this that always make me think of butterflies, especially when as they're dying they kind of fold up like a butterfly folds its wings, and you need to pinch them off then to get them to keep flowering. Yeah, so it's interesting that should come through right now just as I'm having a go at painting some. I feel like this is all a little bit too controlled, but I don't think there's a lot I can do about that now. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go quiet again, and I'm going to use my pens and just start. I just want to kind of show that, give a general idea of that sort of petal shape. And I like the idea, now I've thought about the butterflies, of having 2 or 3 butterflies just coming off, almost as if the flowers are turning into butterflies and flying away, just because they always remind me of and at the moment there are lots of butterflies fluttering about in the garden as well. So I think I might start with a 2 actually, the 0.2. And I don't want to get too controlled about it. I want to try and make it kind of scribbly lines. So yeah, and it's nice for me to be able to just have the reference up on the screen and be able to keep an eye on what you're able to see as well. So because sometimes if I've got my photo reference up on one screen, I forget and I wander off like this. This way I should be able to look at both at the same time. Well, I decided I was going to do a bit of splashing just to make myself loosen up a bit. I might regret that, I don't know, but it's quite fun anyway. So I need to let this dry now and then do just a tiny bit more pen work on those butterflies. I mustn't go too mad. And then I think I am going to cut it down to a square format. And I think I'm probably just going to leave the background white because I'm a bit afraid it'll just get all too dull if I try and put if I was going to put a neutral background in. Probably just do a mixture of all of these and see. Just can't decide. Need to leave it to dry. And it's just occurred to me that it might be fun to try this over the top, but I'm a bit afraid of ruining what I've done now. I'm just going to risk it for a biscuit. Let's just give it a quick all over spritz. Not a just a. Smells like a swimming pool in here. You can see where it's gone, but it doesn't seem to be doing much. So maybe once the paint has dried, that's it. As well as being water resistant, it's also bleach resistant. I don't know. Or it might just develop over the course of a few minutes. But I'll take that 0.2 again because I think that was ideal for this. And I'm just going to like scribble a little bit around these butterflies. I'm quite happy with how the shapes came out as they are, but I just think with the pansies being scribbled around, I think these need to be as well. So I'm not going to do their little bodies and things. I think I'd just get too fussy. I'm sort of holding my pen really, really loose up here, just trying to make myself stay loose because I'm so loose. Is not my best thing. Well, I don't think that bleachy thing's doing anything. It's not dry yet, but that's me being all brave, and then kind of nothing happens. So I will leave that for a few more minutes to dry while I just pull out. I'm just going to pull out a little piece of coloured card just to mount it on, because I think that'll help to bring it out. And it's not really cheating, because I could have used another piece of the paper and painted, you know, a frame to match. So, you know, I could have done it. I'm just not going to waste a whole piece of paper because I've only got one left. And I still haven't decided whether I want to paint a background in, but this is the kind of colour I would use if I do. It's a sort of very greenish grey mixture that I've just mixed up kind of all the colours, really, pretty much. Not too much of the yellow. Right, I've done a bit more splashing and dabbing. The bleach thing seems to have had absolutely no effect at all, so obviously if you want that to work, you need to do it while it's still wet. And I've decided to cut it down to a square. Well, to be honest, it's not really my kind of thing, and I don't think it's my finest hour, but I've had fun with it. Yeah, I've really enjoyed all of the supplies, and I will definitely use them a lot. And one of the great things is that I don't know if you'll be able to see, I have used these a lot. The white is that you can see how much the pigment settles. You definitely need to give them a good shake every time you use them. Yeah, I've only gone about that far down the bottle, and I feel like I've been using it loads and loads, so these are going to go a long way. I'll definitely recommend them. So magic colour, liquid acrylic colours. But yeah, I enjoyed doing these. I loved all the colours you can mix. I loved all the kind of effects like this you can get. Yeah, and I would definitely play with these some more. So so that's me done with the Scrawlr challenge for this month. Let me know how you got on with the supplies. I think this has been one of my favourite boxes, and definitely something I will come back to over and over again. And there are already some beautiful pieces coming out if you look on Instagram and that, and here on YouTube. Things that people have done with these supplies. Obviously I think everybody's really enjoying them. Anyway, so thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed watching or found that useful, and I'll see you again really, really soon. Bye.